RAW Post Show on my YouTube channel, All Things Taylor, with yours truly. I am so excited. I cannot wait to get started. So give me 1 second and we are going to get, I don't really know what's going on with my lighting right now. It looks so different. So I'm going to check that out real quick. Woo! All right. Hello, everyone. We have so much to talk about. I want to bring you guys the news from someone who's actually done it and knows. Okay, as you guys know, it's one of my biggest pet peeves hearing so many people be so critical of pro wrestling, and they end up setting themselves up to be the ones that dictate the self-worth of other people in wrestling. And so I want to be somebody that brings some positivity back to wrestling. So as more and more people join us, and we are going to dive into everything that we saw tonight on Monday Night Raw that was good. There is a lot of people that focus on the negative. I want to be one of those people that focuses on the positive for wrestling because I have dedicated my life to wrestling since I was 17 years old. So here we go. Today was a very interesting episode of Monday Night Raw, but I do have to say, guys, that I actually preferred last week's episode over this week's episode. I liked the matches a little bit more. I feel like there was a little bit more aggression last week in comparison to this week. And the women's match this week, while all of them were great, it seemed like there was more women on last week's episode. I could be wrong, but I just liked that energy last week a little bit more. But with that being said, this week was not bad at all for Monday Night Raw. Yes, hello, Hale Hendricks, absolutely. Good evening, everybody. I am so excited. We're getting more and more people. The more I do this every week, the more people we're getting. It's so exciting. Okay, guys, so like I was saying, I actually did prefer last week's Monday Night Raw to this week's, but this week was not bad. I think WWE is really picking it up, and with the changes that they have made with NXT, I think that's getting reflected on the main roster of Raw as well, and that's really, really exciting. So today, I thought we had a really exciting way to kick off Raw. What a crazy, awesome match full with tons of tag teams that you don't expect from WWE, because WWE hasn't always been known for their love of tag team wrestling. So the fact that this match was so early on Raw, some people be like, oh, well, ugh. But I thought it was a great way to kick off the energy of Monday Night Raw. You know, when you're putting a card together and you're the first match on the card, even if there's segments before you, the crowd is still excited to see you wrestle because they haven't seen any wrestling yet. So the crowd's amped up, they're excited, they paid their hard-earned money to be there. You know, fans aren't tired of watching 3 hours of wrestling by the time the main event comes around. So if you were the first match on the show, it is actually an awesome spot to be in. And these guys, they killed it. They killed it. What a great triple threat tag team match. And when you have so many men with so many spots and on live television, so much can go wrong, guys. But instead, so much went right in this tag match. Like, it was lit. It was insane. I was like, damn. Because if you guys have been fans of mine for any length of time, you will know that I'm actually a huge, huge avid fan of tag team wrestling. It's one of my favorite parts about wrestling. I heart tag team wrestling so much. I've gotten the opportunity to tag with so many amazing women. So when I get to see some excellent, top-notch, high-grade pro wrestling on Monday Night Raw kicking off the show, to me, that's like gold. That's like getting my favorite ice cream with an extra free scoop. You know, it is so cool. And all of these guys, you can tell, have such great in-ring chemistry. Like, it was so good. The timing was spot on. The spots were great. The camera angles were not nuts today where you feel like you're going to get vertigo. It was actually very well done. Who certain producers were for certain matches and stuff. So I would definitely be very interested to know who was the producer for this triple threat tag team match. Just like last week, I would love to know who produced the 6-woman tag that was on Monday Night Raw last week, because it was that good. This match was, in my opinion, one of the perfect ways to kick off Monday Night Raw, which is considered like the Mecca show for WWE. It was excellent. And then in the end, you had this great moonsault catch. It was pure magic. It was pure wrestling magic. It was so well done. Into a reversal with an RKO for brand new tag team champions on the road to WrestleMania, barely even weeks away. RK Bro, new tag team champions. What an amazing way to kick off Monday Night Raw. And guys, that moonsault was so beautiful. It was like the chef's kiss of moonsaults. And speaking of moonsaults, who has an insanely good moonsault for women is Sumi Sakai. That girl barely ever gets it crooked. She is just like straight. so good, as does Lady Frost. Lady Frost just so underrated, but that's a story for a different YouTube live. So as we were saying, the RKO, RK Bro, this match, Seth freaking Rollins, Kevin Owens, Alpha Academy having in their entrance music now. It was just pure greatness. And seeing the additions of Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, I think that a lot more effort is being put into the WWE tag team divisions, and I love it. Speaking of, I'm going to go a little bit out of order because, like I said, I'm not going to touch on every little thing because you guys got lives. You guys aren't going to want to listen to me talk about wrestling for like 3 hours in a row. But also, too, I appreciate the fact that you guys are tuning into me. I know you have tons of options for people that you can go and listen to talk about wrestling, critique it all day long. But the one unique thing I think I possess that they don't is I am actually a wrestler. I am trained. I know a lot of these guys that are on the roster that we are speaking of, and I've put my blood, sweat, tears, and broken bones into this business. So I'm not just looking at things from a fan's perspective. I'm also looking at it from a professional's perspective who's done it. And I'm also a professional, in my opinion, who hasn't lost that fan-like quality. I have in times past, which happens to a lot of wrestlers, but I've regained that, and there's so much appreciation in that. And I think that's what you get when you listen to me, as opposed to some of the other options you guys have. And that's why I appreciate you guys so much. So I'm only going to talk about the really, really good stuff because I don't want to waste your time. So speaking of tag team wrestling, this was something that I loved and I was also not on board with. Why did we put Rhea Ripley into a tag team after she just got out of a tag team? Oh, honey, no. Yeah, who else is with me? Please tell me. Let me know. With that being said, I am never going to complain about Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan getting airtime on Monday Night Raw. I love it. I live to see it. No pun intended, by the way. But why are we breaking up these tag teams to create another tag team instead of giving solos, solo runs too? That's what I was discussing on Twitter briefly during my live tweeting of Monday Night Raw. Why are we breaking up tag teams just to put another tag team? Although I will say that Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley look better as a tag team than Rhea Ripley and Nikki ASH. It was kind of one of those like weird thrown together tag teams that people kind of liked, but at the same time, it's like if you're a casual viewer, are you really going to stop and watch that? Probably not. You're going to keep going. So it was better to split those two up so they can have two different runs. But why are we putting two people that have already been in trios and tag teams together? I would much rather see a singles run, but this does give another team for the very, very small tag team division for the women that WWE has currently. With that being said, this could present a good opportunity to bring up a tag team or two from NXT up to the main roster to kind of add some more depth to the women's tag team division. But all in all, I'm not going to complain. I'm very happy. I think all of the women that were in this segment work very, very hard. A lot of people give Carmella a lot of crap, but she actually does work very, very hard. And Zelina Vega has actually been busting her ass for so long, dating back to when we were both in TNA. So, I mean, kudos to her. I'm really loving that she's kind of living her best life right now and being her. And as fans, I want you guys to see that energy and recognize that authenticity of that energy and kind of put some respect on it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's very, very hard to be comfortable in your own skin and be free with your authenticity, especially in an industry like sports entertainment. Very, very hard where everybody's critiquing every little thing about you, every little tiny thing. So it's very, very cool. But again, I was kind of like, didn't Rhea Ripley just get like attacked by her former tag partner and like she already just got out of a tag team? But if it gets them to WrestleMania, I'm all for it for now, but let's not have this be the long-term game plan because I really want to see a really successful singles run for both of these ladies. I honestly think it really could be money, especially if we give Paul Heyman the pen. When Paul Heyman was writing promos for Liv Morgan prior to the whole wedding between Lana and Bobby Lashley, that was his brain babies, so to speak, those vignettes. And I think if we had him writing for Liv Morgan and for Rhea Ripley, that could be some really, really kick ass must-see TV for Monday Night Raw for the women's division. Let me know your thoughts because I am so like I've dove in head first into this, and I really want to see that stuff make a comeback. And especially if you guys have noticed that WWE has in fact been pushing the envelope per the request of Fox with the whole PG and pushing what the limit of what they can and can't get away with under the PG umbrella without sacrificing all of the sponsorship money and deals that come along with being a PG rated program. So they've definitely been pushing the envelope. You've seen that with, you know, a lot of different stuff that Mandy Rose is doing, a lot of the different vignettes that were happening with Lana and Bobby Lashley, and now Dana Brooke, and Tamina and stuff. Which leads me to my next topic for tonight. I don't know if she's doing this on purpose, but guys, if she isn't, like, that's even more talent right there. Tamina's facial expressions are seriously top notch. Like, give that girl the wrestling version of an Oscar, because you can tell what she is legit feeling in that moment if you like zoom in and pay close enough attention to her facial expressions. Last week she was giving us shades of, what have I done with my life choices to make me in this moment, in this right now? That energy was just so tremendous. It's like, oh, girlfriend, oh, girl, let's break out that laundry list real quick. But then it's also funny and entertaining, and she's bringing that energy into that as well, which is it's contagious energy. It's humorous, but it's also like, oh, Tamina, you know. And I like this for her. I like this energy, but I also know that she's really badass. So I'm waiting for this to explode in a very good way on TV, because I think it's going to be a really good way to kind of lead to a very humorous downfall of a supposed heel on the program, which leads to a really good epic comeback story if done right. And I think that they could do this with Tamina, and it would be awesome. And I'm basing this not just on her talent, but also on her facial expressions and her tenure on the roster. I think that that would be tremendous. It could easily take almost a year, and I mean, that's a year worth of TV time slowly built up, so that would be really, really good. And poor Tozawa, he is living his best life right now. Who else? Oh man, we had a successful title defense for Dana Brooke with one of her first ever WWE Championship titles. She lives to see another day as the WWE 24/7 champion. Really, really cool. She really manifested that. She is one of those people that put out into the WWE universe on social media, you know, I really want to win a WWE title this year. And then she ended up winning the WWE 24/7 title. Really, really awesome. Some other people that have done that are Demi Lovato. She put out on social media like 10 years prior, you know, I want to sing the national anthem at this stadium at the Super Bowl. And 10 years later, she did it. Michael B. Jordan, he put out in social media a very, 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 very long time ago when he was kind of just starting out that one day he wanted to play Black Panther, the character, and then he ended up being, you know, the main villain pretty much in the movie Black Panther, coinciding with Chadwick Boseman, may he rest in peace. So it's really, really cool to see somebody manifest that like Dana Brooke, because Dana Brooke gets a lot of flack. She gets a lot of negativity sent her way. The same thing with Lana. But I've been backstage at WWE numerous times, and I can tell you they work their asses off. And that's a lot of stuff that the fans don't necessarily get to see because it's not always getting shot behind the scenes. But people like Lana and Dana Brooke, they would always be getting in the ring, asking people like AJ Styles and stuff for help and trying to train while they're on the road, which is not very easy, I might say, to learn how to wrestle while you're on the road, going town to town on 2 to 3 hours of sleep and so forth. So that's really, really cool. The other thing that I have been loving on Monday Night Raw is seeing Kevin Owens and Seth freaking Rollins living their best lives. Like the chemistry that these two possess together, because they have known each other for so long, dating back like almost 20 years. It's just impeccable. It is amazing. It kind of almost grabs you through the screen to the point where it's almost tangible, where you feel like you can almost reach out and touch it. And I think that that's really, really awesome for casual viewers and you, the wrestling fans, because it's entertaining. Almost, it doesn't really matter what they're doing. It's so entertaining. And again, it doesn't really matter what they're doing because they've built such a trust equity with the WWE universe that pretty much everything they do is pure gold. It's tremendous. It's amazing. And it's really, really cool it's like a cool Cinderella story because they did start off as, these indie wrestlers that did make it. And not only did they make it, they made it to the main roster for multiple years and did stuff of note that was worthy of note. And to me, that's absolutely amazing. It really is cool. It shows, what hard work, self-belief, and timing all working together in tandem can really do. And that's when we get Seth freaking Rollins and Kevin Owens. It is so amazing. I really love that duo. I kind of want to see another sort of like tag team gauntlet match at WrestleMania, almost like a ringside rush tournament. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a ringside rush tournament, but basically what it is a bunch of different either singles wrestlers or tag teams are sitting on the outside. They're not talking to each other, nothing, and they each have a number. And when a number is called, they have to go in the ring and wrestle. And nobody knows who's going to be the next one in line because you're just getting pulled out by random numbers and go in until there's like the last person or the last team standing. And so it's kind of very similar to a Royal Rumble, but not at the same time because the things aren't timed. So you never know when the next team or person's going to get called because it really all depends on, who and when the loss happens. So it's a really, really interesting concept. And I think that would kind of be really, really cool to happen on the biggest, grandest stage of them all for WWE, WrestleMania. Take a bunch of the top WWE men's tag teams right now, currently on their roster, even from NXT, and put them all in some sort of ringside rush tournament. It would have to be like severely produced, like severely, because there's a lot that could go wrong, but so much magic could go right. And what better time than at WrestleMania? The biggest the flagship pay-per-view that started it all, basically. That would be really, really amazing. And I think that would be really cool to have, the tag team titles on the line, RK Bro, Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, Alpha Academy, and, just a whole bunch of tag teams and do a ringside rush tournament live at WrestleMania. How cool would that be? I think a lot of fans would be very surprised like how crazy awesome that could be, especially because you don't know which team is going to hop in the ring next, and everybody has a number and nobody knows who has which number. So it's all like sort of mystery, and you kind of get the live reactions of the superstars when they're ringside because they don't know what's going to happen. And I think that's part of the magic that people want at WrestleMania is you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if the champions are going to retain the belts. You don't know if the challenger is going to end up surpassing all the odds and becoming victorious on the grandest stage. You don't know. And I think we need more of that magic at WrestleMania. How amazing would that be? To me, I would love it. Like Taylor Hendricks, WWE Creative. You're welcome. But this would be really, really cool. RK Bro, Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens living their best lives on TV. What a great way to end the episode, but we'll get more into that in a little bit. We also had a really, really interesting matchup. It was really intense, guys. Who else was really, really digging Edge tonight? Like how he ended Raw last week with just brute, pure violence was, pun intended, phenomenal. And then we had this new gritty in control Edge, and what I loved about this promo, I don't know if somebody helped him write it. Yes, Taylor Hendricks for WWE Creative, love it. I don't know if someone helped him put these little nuances together in his promo, but I don't know if you guys picked up on this. I did, and I thought it was a stroke of pure genius because it's like I always say, the devil is in fact in the details. The small, little, intricate, subtle details add up to big, amazing things that make a superstar a superstar. And one of these things really stood out to me. When Edge was speaking, he was speaking about being in control for the first time in his career, being in control of what's going on in that ring, being in control and in the moment, being in control of WrestleMania and everything and everyone. But the more he talked about being in control, the more he was subtly spinning out of control. It was so subtle. It was brilliant. It made you believe that he is slowly going insane. And what's great about that is somebody who is clinically insane has no idea that they are in fact insane. That is the definition of insanity, basically. And so the more he talked about being in control, and this is the best he's ever been, and the view looks so phenomenal, uh, he started slowly and subtly spinning out of control. This is a newer Edge that we're not used to seeing. This is exciting. It's necessary. It's needed. It's fresh. It's new. I'm not going to say it's broken Matt Hardy, because Matt Hardy deserves respect on that all on his own. But what I am saying is this is a really good take on a newer Edge. And this is a very subtle way for him to reinvent himself without completely going back to the drawing board. It was excellent. The way he talked about being in control, and the faster he started speaking, the faster his words started to come out, the more he was not blinking. It made you believe that, in fact, like the more he talked about being in control, the less in control he looked. To me, that was pure genius. The lighting was so perfect. It created an ambiance where you were like, wait a second. I don't think I know you. You know, you think you know me. So like to me, the nuances of this were so freaking good. If somebody produced that promo alongside Edge, I want to know who that writer is, because as a writer myself, I thought that was genius. It was a stroke of pure promo vignette gold, in my opinion. It wasn't that typical corny, listen, next Saturday night, brother, I'm gonna kick your ass at the Dynadome. Like, it wasn't that corny stuff that's outdated. Like, this was new. It was fresh. You know, he looked out of control while talking about being in control. That was such great storytelling, and it made you want to see Edge, you know, come back, you know, bigger, better, stronger, faster, smarter, and go, you know, you used to be my idol. Now you far surpassed being my rival. I'm going to kick your fucking you know. It makes you want to see that. And believe me, I've been wanting this match since before the Royal Rumble. I have been saying for months, Edge and AJ Styles, that is going to be one of the highlights of this year's WrestleMania. How long have all of us been waiting for this? But the thing is what's great about this now is we're getting a different Edge. We're getting a more evolved Edge. We're getting a more gritty Edge. We're getting a more unhinged Edge. Pun intended, if you will. We're getting an edge to Edge as the weeks go on and on and on. He's more violent. He's more unhinged. He's more a little bit out of his mind. And this is going to make for an even better storyline for him and AJ Styles. Because the problem with somebody who's only part-time on the roster is when they go from storyline to storyline to storyline, they get used up too fast. It's like, okay, we've been there, we've done that, we've seen it, it's old now, whatever. This keeps Edge fresh and new. And it also gives AJ Styles a dream match, and it gives all of us, the WWE Universe, an epic dream match, which we have been wanting and missing for quite some time. And it's going to be at the grandest stage of them all. And that brings me to Pat McAfee. Guys, his energy, that 1 week he missed being on commentary for SmackDown was like soul crushing. He has like that old school commentary that really brings a legitimacy back to the product. And so getting to see him compete at WrestleMania, I am so looking forward to it, because Austin Theory is one of the characters on Monday Night Raw that you want to see get his ass kicked. Am I right? Who's with me? And to me, that's money. You know, when you can make an audience like love to hate you, that's money. It's like, that's Miz money right there. That it's so good. Like, he plays a character that you want to see him get his ass kicked. And that's kind of, to me, like very old school WWF booking. We're seeing some shades of that trickle down into the current product, which I think is really, really good. I don't know if that's more Vince McMahon or if that's more Bruce Pritchard, but I'm really, really loving it. And like Austin Theory, you just love to hate him. Like, you want to see him get his ass kicked. You want to see him get his phone smashed and thrown into the crowd, and just like, you want to see that happen. And I like this for Pat McAfee. I like this for him. Like, I want to see him be the one to do it. Like, I think that is going to be pure gold. And I think that will be a great addition to WrestleMania. I mean, Pat McAfee's energy versus Austin Theory, you want to see him get his butt kicked, and you kind of want to see Pat be the one to do it. It's going to be great. Some people were saying that they want Liv Morgan to be added into the match with Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair. I say no. I say leave Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair a singles match for WrestleMania. Let them play out the story that started at SummerSlam. Do not touch that. Instead, I like what they're going to do with doing the women's tag team titles. Instead, I let Bianca and Becky kind of run their course with their current storyline. Don't add. Let them have that spotlight. And then this also gives a tag team for now to kind of add a little bit more depth to the somewhat lacking women's tag team division, because there's not a lot of, qualified teams. Ending out the episode with having Finn Balor get his ass kicked with an interjection from the former U.S. champion Damian Priest. I love this. I think Finn Balor was one of the perfect people to allow for Damian Priest to have that heel turn on WWE programming. And I really, really like that. I think that he really was feeling the words he spoke last week, and then having the actions that he had this week, it really put the two together. A lot of times superstars will talk, and then what happens in the storyline doesn't match what they're saying. This was a really cool continuity from last week's Monday Night Raw to this week's Monday Night Raw. And I think Finn Balor was the perfect opponent to do that for Damian Priest. Having him have a small program with AJ Styles first added a little bit more legitimacy to Damian Priest on the main roster. And now having him lose his belt to Finn Balor was a really, really great way to create a good rift. And I definitely want to see that round 2 at WrestleMania. And this, I really want to be the reason why we get, the demon. And I really think that would be a really cool scenario to have like evil Damian Priest, versus, the Demon Prince Finn Balor. I think that would be a great look for WrestleMania, and I also think it would be a great way to add more depth to both of those extremely talented men. I think that would be great. And then we have Kevin Owens rounding out the show. I think WWE has done a very, very excellent job the last couple weeks of starting Monday Night Raw and ending Monday Night Raw. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the compliments. I just saw several roll in about this YouTube live video. I think that they've done a really great way to lure people in at the beginning of the show and then to leave people hanging on a cliff note at the end of the show. That's because, the thing about the WWE universe is they need to have a reason to keep coming back. It's not just out of habit. Yeah, some people tune it in out of habit because, they grew up watching it, they still watch it. But you want people to actually be excited to watch it. You want people to be enticed to watch it, not just, you want to have a reason to tune in. And I think having Edge round out last week's episode and then Kevin Owens rounding out this week's episode by calling out Steve Austin after there was rumors of Steve Austin being canceled or whatever that were flying around on YouTube for whatever reason, I have no idea. I think that's really, really awesome, especially because he left out Stone Cold Steve Austin's name last week when they were in Texas. And it's like, you don't leave out the Texas rattlesnake, he leaves you out. I love making ugly faces. It's funny to me. So I think this is really, really cool. I've been missing Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's just somebody that is like a man's man. He keeps it real and really doesn't give an F about what you have to think about it. Like he's like, this is the truth. This is what it is. Take it or leave it. Really don't care either way, bro. Peace. I like that energy. And so having, Kevin Owens has a very similar energy. I was in locker rooms with him when I was very early on in the business. And I really enjoyed his energy because he is a 0X person. Like, this is me, take it or leave. If you don't like it, I really don't care. I'm still getting paid no matter what, and that's really, really his energy. And so having two magnetizing energies like that, men colliding in the ring, I think is going to be really freaking cool. I really want to see that. I'm like living for that. Stone Cold is a freaking legend. So I definitely want to see that at WrestleMania. So fingers crossed. I mean, who doesn't love the Texas Rattlesnake? I mean, he is such a badass. Like, that's our childhood right there. Tell me, guys, while I round out this 30 minutes, what were some of your favorite aspects of tonight's episode for Monday Night Raw? What are some things that are you looking forward to? We had the tag team titles change hands tonight. We had a new tag team form in the form of Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, a tag team match set up for WrestleMania. We had the injury to Becky Lynch. We had Bianca Belair's scathing reply to that. We had an excellent segment with Edge tonight. We had had a really, really good competitive match with Tommaso and Braun, which was so freaking good. It was very underrated, and people weren't reacting to it the way that I thought they would. And we also had a really great stuff with Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. So, what was your favorite, and what would you rate tonight's episode? A lot of you last week rated the episode for Raw like a 6 to 7 out of 10. What would you rate this week's? I would say a solid 6 out of 10 this week, but let me know in the comments right now while we round out this 30 minutes. Don't be shy, everybody. Come on in. All right, here, somebody definitely wants to see Austin versus Owens in a shoot match. Oh, I don't think you guys could handle a shoot match between Kevin Owens and Stone Cold. That would get ugly. Ugly. But really, really, really intense, I bet. All right, Santana Fuller gives it a 6 out of 10. Excellent. I agree. I definitely agree. I would have liked to have seen more women on tonight's episode, but that is what it is. I also really, okay, Clinton coming in with a 7 out of 10. All right. You know what? That's not bad. I can see that for sure. 7 out of 10. Matthew gives it an 8 out of 10. All right, Matthew, giving it with the high ratings. I'm loving doing these with you guys. I hope you guys are loving these as well. I want to give you guys a different perspective from someone who's actually been in the ring and been in the locker room with a lot of these people, and not as a reporter where everybody's on their best behavior, but as an actual talent. So I like to kind of bring that perspective and that side of the business into a lot of this stuff, because I feel like that's sorely lacking, and a lot of people don't necessarily do it, and a lot of the reporters are not wrestlers themselves. They're just reporters that want to be boys with the boys. So I want to give you guys a more positive, unbiased, viewpoint on everything, and I hope that you guys really enjoyed that. We had a lot of people come in and out today. I want to thank everybody for stopping by for my official YouTube live post show for WWE Monday Night Raw. Stay tuned later this week. We got another one with Rye, who gives it a 7, which is high for Raw. All right, somebody who's not always a Raw fan, but that's okay. I don't judge here. If you like mint chocolate chip ice cream, that's completely okay with me. Let me know if you guys want me to do a post show live for SmackDown this week. I'm also going to have movie trivia coming your way, movie reviews for things like Scream and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and more. I'm also going to have stuff that you can look forward to this week for Impact Wrestling, for Impact Tonight, and so much more heading to my YouTube channel, including some brand new Taylor Hendricks vignettes. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys later this week. Talk soon.